Good evening. Welcome to the Tuesday, April 3rd, 2018 council meeting for the city of Brook Park. Michelle, please call the roll of members.
Scott.
Here.
Bergia.
Here.
Orcutt.
Here.
Stem.
Here.
Mancini.
Here.
Poindexter.
Here.
Salvatore.
Here.
Everyone, please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Moving on to item C, approval of minutes of preceding meetings. The first one is a caucus prior to the council meeting held on March 20th, 2018.
Motion to accept
approved. Support.
as presented.
Motion to approve is presented, properly supported. Discussion. Seeing none, Michelle, please call the roll on approval.
Bergia.
Yes.
Mancini.
Yes.
Stem.
Yes.
Poindexter.
Yes.
Salvatore.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Orcutt.
Yes.
Caucus meeting minutes are approved. Number 2, regular council meeting minutes held on March 20th, 2018.
Motion to approve those regular council meeting minutes from March 20th.
Support.
Motion to approve the meeting minutes properly supported. Michelle, please call the roll on.
Mancini.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Bergia.
Yes.
Orcutt.
Yes.
Stem.
Yes.
Poindexter.
Yes.
Salvatore.
Yes.
Regular council meeting minutes are
Mr. Chairman.
approved. Mr. Salvatore,
I'd like to make a motion to go out of regular order of business and go to item G.
Support.
motion to go out of the regular order of business and go to item G, properly supported. Discussion. Seeing none, Michelle, please call the roll.
Salvatore.
Yes.
Mancini.
Yes.
Poindexter.
Yes.
Stem.
Yes.
Orcutt.
Yes.
Bergia.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Moving on to item G, introduction of resolutions of commendation. We have one item, proclamation honoring Miss Poppy 2018, Nicole Zeptaki. Would you like to come up to the podium?
Reading. Okay.
Yeah, just come straight up there. She's gonna read this into the record, and
Should she stand on something or just?
she can until they're ready. That's fine. Thank you.
Proclamation honoring Miss Poppy 2018, Nicole Zaptapi. Whereas Nicole Zaptapi was chosen to represent the American Legion Auxiliary Unit 610 as Miss Poppy 2018, and whereas Nicole resides in Parma Heights, Ohio, and is the daughter of Beth and Brian Zaptaki and the sister of Zachary. Nicole was born on October 9th and is a third grader at Parma Park Elementary School in Parma Heights. Whereas Nicole enjoys reading books about dogs and being around all animals, Nicole plays on a traveling soccer team in the summers, and when not playing soccer, she spends her weekends camping with her family. She has been a junior member of the auxiliary for 4 years and has helped baking cookies for the Wade Park VMAC, filling purses for the women in rehab, and filling dirty bags for the veterans. Nicole will be in the Memorial Day Parade and will lead the Pledge of Allegiance at the memorial service. Whereas the red paper poppy is made by disabled veterans at the Ohio Veterans Home in Sandusky, Ohio, the red poppy is a symbol and tribute to those veterans who have died and willingly served their country in the past 7 decades. The workers are paid for each poppy made, and the materials are provided free by the state organization. After constructing the poppies, they are sold to auxiliary units all across the state. Auxiliary members then offer these flowers to the public and share the story behind the little red poppy, with 100% of all donations being used to aid and assist veterans and their children. These funds support military families, hospitalized veterans, and also provide essential items for homeless veterans. And whereas the American Legion Auxiliary Unit 610 designates May 19th and May 20th as the official Poppy Days in the city of Brook Park in honor and in memory of all who have willingly served and sacrificed their lives to secure our freedom. Now therefore I, Michael D. Gamella, Mayor of the City of Brook Park, Ohio, do hereby call upon citizens of this fine community to acknowledge and extend congratulations to Nicole Zaptaki for serving as Miss Poppy 2018.
Thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome.
And here we have Miss Poppy. And would you like to introduce your mom and dad?
Sure. Like
right in there. My mom, my dad,
My mom is Beth Zeptaki, and my dad is Brian Zeptaki.
your brother, and
My brother is Zachary.
Andrew's okay.
That's my grandma, too.
All right, well, congratulations, Nicole, and this proclamation is for you, kiddo. I'll give it to your mom. What I want you to do is go up there and start with Councilman Stem, and they're going to make a contribution to your cause, and thank you very much. So go on. Let's give her a hand.
We're trying to get change?
Let's try to get the money out of the can.
If you don't know, then nobody does.
Hand's getting full, make sure you don't take anything out.
Thank you, honey. Make sure that they give you a lot of money down. These guys are loaded. Are you gonna match mine?
That's what
I think
happens
we're
when
gonna
you
have to
give
give her a
those.
bigger container.
You always have trouble with those $100 bills.
Triple fold it, Randy. There you go.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Zeptaki. Nicole, feel free to go around there while we're still going, dear.
Yeah, hit them up.
Take a motion to go back to the regular order of business.
Motion so made.
Support.
Motion to go back to the regular order of business properly supported. Michelle, please call the roll.
Salvatore,
Yes.
Persia,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Mancini,
Yes.
Poindexter.
Yes.
Motion is approved. We're back to the regular order of business under item D, reports of standing committees. Aviation and Environmental, Councilman Poindexter.
Thank you, Council President. We have nothing new to report today in those committees.
Thank you. Finance Committee, Councilman Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Finance Committee is not on the agenda, but Board of Controls met today, and there were 20 items on the agenda, and all were approved. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Legislative Committee, Councilman Mancini.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have nothing today on the agenda. If anybody needs anything out of the Legislative Committee, please let me know. And I will have 2 things I'm bringing out myself for next week for discussion, but that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Parks and Recreation Committee, Councilman Salvatore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We haven't had a rec commission meeting since my last report, but I do have a few announcements to make and share some dates with you, some events that are coming up. On Saturday, April 14th, the Brook Park Seniors will be having their 10th annual Tea and Fashion Show, which will be held in the mini gym at the rec center. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, April 20th, 21st, and 22nd, the Cleveland area Golden Gloves boxing event will be held at the Brook Park Recreation Gymnasium. For all the coaches and managers, there'll be a meeting for the baseball and softball leagues, which also will be held later this month. The next Recreation Commission meeting will be held on Thursday, April 19th, at the Rec Center at 7 p.m. It's open to the public, so please feel free to join in. And lastly, Mr. Chairman, I just want to mention, I was hoping that we were going to talk about the capital budget at the caucus meeting, but we didn't, so I am going to share a couple of points of interest that I'd like council to consider when we do have that meeting, and I hope we have it later this week. A couple of items that our Recreation Director, Director Elliott, had asked on his original wish list, which were taken off. I am going to recommend as chairman of the Recreation that we put them back in. One being the portable fence, which is a $1,600 item. And I think it makes a lot of sense, especially knowing that we are going to be playing most of our games at the Kennedy Field. And that's a 300-foot fence. And our A-ball and AA players just aren't going to hit a home run over the fence at 300 feet. So this portable fence idea, I know we have one. It's always good to have a second one because we have more than one field that this may be affected by. It makes a lot of sense. If you break it down, if we have 100 of our children hit a home run, it's going to cost us about $60 a smile. And that smile lasts a lifetime. I don't know how many people have ever watched one of our youth hit the ball over the fence, but that smile never goes away. So for $1,600, I'm going to ask that the council put that in, and the money can be taken out of the Fund 250. I've already met with the finance director, and he said that's not a problem. The second item would be the projector. At first I thought, that's $10,000. I think we could do without that, but then I sat down and I thought about it a little harder. And again, looking at the sports events that I participate in myself, and some as a coach, some just to go and watch all these years. And I've always wanted to be able to have the capability of being able to tape a championship game and then inviting everybody up to the rec center to watch it. And meeting with Mark on this, he likes the idea as well, so he's going to be looking at getting some prices. Hopefully he'll talk about it in his report, if not this week, maybe next week. But I would really like to see us reconsider that, put that back in for that purpose, so that we have that capability to film a couple of games now and then, pick a game of the week, whatever it is, a championship game, football, basketball, baseball, whatever the sport is, soccer, any game, anything that we're doing, and be able to invite the parents, the grandparents, and all the kids that participate in the program up to the rec center and watch themselves on the big screen. And again, that money will also be able to be taken out of the Fund 250, so will not interfere whatsoever in any of the discussions that hopefully will be taking place later in the week. Other than that, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman. Planning Committee, Councilman Bergio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had 4 items that came before the Planning Commission yesterday. One was a tabled item that the commission
voted to move to our May agenda. There was also a request for approval of a lot consolidation and lot split for a parcel on West 149th Street, and that was approved unanimously by the commission. Request for a conditional use permit to operate an airport parking facility at 15541 Brook Park Road was denied. And lastly, request to rezone and to construct and operate 6,000 square feet retail commercial building was also denied unanimously. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Bergio. Safety Committee, Councilman Stem.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one item. A reminder, April 23rd at 7 p.m., Brook Park Neighborhood Watch is having a human trafficking raise awareness meeting. That's the 23rd of this month at 7 p.m. I hope to see everybody there. Thank you.
Thank you. Service Committee, Councilman Orcutt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Couple of reminders here. Next Monday, April 9th, is bulk pickup. The deadline is this Friday, April 6th. You need to call up there by noon to get on the list for the rubbish. And their hotline is 216-433-7189. Let's see, also starting Monday is the residents will be able to drop off yard waste at the service department. That's at 19065 Holland Road. The hours are 7:30 a.m. through 7 p.m. Saturday is 8 a.m. to 12 noon. Let's see, and this is our last opportunity to remind everybody about the Shred-It Days. This will be April 14th at the Brook Park Service Department, and they'll be having the Shred-It Days, and this will be from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And also, I was expecting to talk a little bit about the budget, the capital budget, this evening at our caucus meeting. And as the chairman of the Service Committee, I would hope that we do have a meeting this week. There's only, I believe, 4 items that need to be approved for the service capital budget this year, and one of them being the big ticket item is upgrading our early 1980s pump station at Fry and Hummel. So looking forward to a meeting on that as soon as possible, and that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman. Board of Zoning Appeals, Councilman Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Board of Zoning met yesterday. We had one item of new business, and they also had one tabled item. The new businesses is to request to create request a variance to create 2 legal non-conforming lots due to lot consolidation and lot split for new construction. And that is, again, 5211 West 149th Street. And that was approved unanimously. And then we had a table item, a request a variance to install a new billboard at 4985 West 150th Street, Rock and Roll City, Harley-Davidson, located in the U7C zone within 1,500 feet of the existing billboards. The motion was to remove from the table items, and we placed it on the May 7th agenda. That was per the mayor and the building commissioner. And that's all I have, sir.
Thank you, Councilman. Moving on to letter E, reports of special committees. Southwest General Health Center, Trustee Salvatore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We are celebrating the graduation of our first class of patient care associates who successfully completed a program to become STNA certified. The program is being offered through our partnership with Corporate College, which is a division of Cuyahoga Community College. So a huge congratulations goes out to all the nurses who took the time to become certified. Preparation is underway for our Patient Experience Week celebration, which will be this month. This week, we'll highlight the many efforts we have in process to continue to improve our patient experience across Southwest General. Keep council informed as more information comes forward. We recently celebrated Safety Week in March, which included a summary of the many external recognitions that we have received for providing high-quality, safe patient care, which I've been keeping council very much informed over the last several years that all the awards that we've been winning, and most of them were regarding safety. The inpatient volume for the month was very good. Discharges and surgery volumes were over budget and also over the last year. I'll keep you up to date as we go forward through the year. And our efforts continue to recruit new physicians to Southwest General. As you know, this is very important moving forward that we stay on top of it as our physicians retire we have somebody in the wings waiting to replace them. And we've been doing a very good job of that. Talking a little bit about our capital budget, I mentioned in the previous report that we committed more than $6.8 million of the $25 million in expenditures for approval of the projects such as the breast cancer expansion, the Oakview Behavioral Health Services, a renovation and expansion in that building, various information technology projects, purchase of new surgical equipment, and the purchase of the replacement ultrasound equipment. And finally, Mr. Chairman and members of council, I'll keep you up to speed as to what project that we are going to partner with Southwest General. I know if you were, for those of you who are watching the caucus, Councilman Scott brought up a project that he's proposing through the Neighborhood Watch. That was one of the projects that we were going to do through Southwest, but there are several others too that we've been talking about. So hopefully within the next couple of weeks, I'll be able to share with you which one we are going to bring forward and partner up with Southwest General. Other than that, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Salvatore. Berea Board of Education Committee. Mr. Poindexter, I'll start with you if you have anything.
I don't have anything. School board meetings tonight, and Ms. McDonald is going to report on that at the next council meeting.
Correct, thank you. So everybody's aware, Ms. McDonald on the 4/17 meeting will give us a report. Moving on to letter F, reports of boards and commissions. We have none this evening. Letter H, reports and communications from the mayor. Mayor Gamella.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First off, I'd like to thank everyone in the city, and most importantly, the Recreation Department led by Mark Elliott. The Easter egg hunt was a big success. Everybody enjoyed themselves, Mark, and I just want to say to you and your staff, good job. I'd also like to thank Councilman Orcutt. His daughter Emily was a big help getting the eggs out there. She was drafting and she did a fine job. We appreciate that. And also members of the Recreation Commission who were there. So we appreciate what everybody did there, and again, that's what makes a community a community. Another, I'm going to have former Councilman Adams, who's now the Economic Development Director, at our next council meeting, make a presentation to council on the Opportunity Zone we just got passed. There are only a few of these granted through the state of Ohio, and we got in, and we have an Opportunity Zone. Basically, it's going to be at our aerospace park, so it'll help us develop that area, which is absolutely critical to our success. We tried extending that zone to the Ford Motor property. We were unsuccessful there, but again, we got the Opportunity Zone for the entire aerospace parkway area, so that's great. Along that note, Ford Motor, as you know, at the last council meeting, I was meeting with Ford officials, top-level Ford officials, and we've got a tough nut there to crack. Ford's got that property, and we've got to get something there. And I had, what I will just say, fruitful discussions. I think them knowing me the way they do is a major plus for us. But that we have a ways to go on that property, but I'm constantly pushing. Many of you know who have been around for a while, when I was a local union president over there, I tried to get the forest cylinder, everyone said that was impossible, and we were successful. And I'm going to do it the same way here that I did it there. Just keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. I know talking with many of you, I have your support. I definitely appreciate that because I'm going to need your support. But that parcel is going to be the key and the heart to any economic development for this city in the future. So I will keep you appraised. And finally, council, on the budget, if you'd like, I'd like to call a meeting on Thursday at 6 o'clock, if that time works, everything, a special council meeting, so we can hash that out. Are there any objections to that time, this Thursday at 6? All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Questions for the mayor? Mr. Orcutt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mayor, quick question. You said the Ford, there was not, we wanted to get something there. Were you talking about something there with Ford, or they want to get something there where they're going to give up some of that land for us?
Very good question. That's still up in the air. Obviously, I'd like nothing more than Ford. They've been a great corporate citizen, a good taxpayer. But if Ford is not going to put something there, we've got to be prepared to move on. And they will work with us on that. They could keep that property locked up for an extended period of time if they so chose, but I believe they will work with the city of Brook Park. But then again, I'm hopeful we can get something there from the Ford Motor Company.
Okay. My next question is about that land. The last administration, they had a hard time getting some of that land, and it looks like when you were up in Michigan, March 20th, the week of March 20th, that it was unsuccessful as well for them giving up some land. Is there anything that we can do or that we've looked into legally to be able to grab that land back? I don't even know if it's possible.
Well, I wouldn't say I was unsuccessful. We have an understanding, and again, they own the property. Could we do a projected lawsuit against them? I guess we probably could, but I don't think that'd be fruitful. I think what's best is to work with them to see what they're going to do on that property, and if they're not going to do anything on that property with Ford Motor, it could be a subsidy of Ford. They could put Ford land there. There's a lot of different things they could put there. Ford's a very big corporation. But again, it's absolutely important that we've developed that property in one way or another, and Ford's going to be a piece of the puzzle. They own the property, quite frankly.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Mayor. That's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. Mancini?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mayor, one of the things that I'd like to say on this Ford is whether we get something or not, it's still going to be, to feel any of the receipts on it or any of the advantages that we get out of it's going to be far down the road. You just said it yourself best, that it's for the future. I do believe the previous mayor said, well, at that microphone, if you were going to get something there, you should probably have them clean up that property. I think that's going to be a tough one too. That all being said, I'm glad to hear we're going to have a meeting Thursday, 6 to do our budget. We got some issues, and we have some issues now. Is there anything that your administration now is looking at that maybe you could tip the scales a little bit and tell us that, to address some of our problems? Again, streets, I could go on and on. I know that sounds redundant too, but we have some issues now that, as we're out within the city, all of us, probably yourself included, and the directors, that we hear every day. So are we looking at any solution now? I was glad to see what Mr. Adams did, what you had just stated. But I think that's maybe an area we maybe have to start turning that steering wheel just a tad more and say, we got some issues now. We're going to have them again as our economic, as our Mr. Single stated finance director for 2019 too. So I guess my question is, are we looking at anything like that? And what might be on the table for that? For the problems that we have now?
Well, these problems just didn't arise over the last 88 days that I've been here, Jim, as you well know. But we are very aggressively going after new work, especially on that Aero Park zone, very aggressively. And again, also on the Ford property and throughout the city. We've had meetings with numerous people coming in, and Scott's going to be bringing to you, I don't want to steal his thunder, but a company with about 50 people that's going to be relocated over there on Henry Ford Boulevard. And, it's an ongoing struggle because the economy today, to give you an example, in plant number 1 over there at Ford, it's at full capacity with 1,500 people. 1978, you needed 5,500 people to run that plant. So what I'm saying is, even though you bring the work in, the corporations in, bringing in the people and the taxpayers, it's not quite as easy as it used to be, and you're in a lot of competition. As you know, we're moving from and we've already done this, from a smokestack country, industrial-based, more to technology. And I said from the beginning, one of the things I want to do is take those smokestacks off our city emblem, and I would like to bring in a high-tech company here to this city to put us on the map, along with NASA. We're fortunate over other communities. We have the resources to do it. We have Ford, we have NASA, we have that land, we have the airport, we have the rail system and the interstate system. It's all here. We just got to go out there and aggressively market it, and that's exactly what I intend to do, and that's what we're starting to do right now. Not just in Ohio, not just in America, but across the world. I was very serious when I said, I want to take those jobs China has and bring them over here. And the only way we're going to do that is to be competitive. And that's what I intend to do.
Okay. So the community development, after what you said, I agree with you, take them smokestacks off too. Make it business and marketing development. That's how I feel on that. So I think that'd be a better title for what we're looking at. But Mayor, thank you for your answer. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Mancini. Mr. Stem?
Thank you. Yes, it's just a question for the mayor, or actually a statement. I agree with, the city has to be aggressive going forward with this. I don't like the wait and see approach with Ford, because I think we're gonna be on the wrong side of the fence. As a city, we just have to be aggressive and go forward and find our best options. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mayor, I have a couple questions regarding, while you were up in Michigan a couple weeks ago, can you tell us any of the people you may have spoken with? I mean, are there any names you can give us or anything like that? From
No,
departments?
not really. I can tell you this. After Bill Ford himself, the CEO, and the next fellow in line, that's the level I was talking with. So these are people who make the decisions. And I would like to tell you that, and I will tell you that privately, but this is how you get things done. You don't go out there and tell tales out of school. You work together. You know, they know what we want. They know what we're expecting of them. And most importantly, we need them to deliver and then help us out. It's just not going to be the city of Brook Park. It's going to be the state of Ohio. It's going to be the federal government. And it's also going to be the Ford Motor Company, whoever purchased that property from the Ford Motor Company. And as far as the cleanup of the property, it's not as bad as many are being led to believe, because all along they have been cleaning it up. And when they took that casting plant down, they pulled a lot of stuff out of there. You know, they cleaned up a lot of things over there. So are there issues? Sure there are issues, but there's issues probably on any site that size. So we're going to aggressively go after it, and I feel very confident we'll get something there, but it's going to take a little bit of time.
Okay, great. Do you have any short-term or long-term goals as to how you're approaching this with Ford, whether it be to see if they're going to bring and do something themselves, or if they're going to open up the property? Do you have a timeline?
Well, you have to understand, and I know you do, Mr. Chairman, Ford owns the property. So we have two options here. We can work with them, or we could threaten them. I'd much prefer working with them. And there's two entities here that we're going to have to work with. You have Ford Manufacturing, which currently controls the property, but then you have Ford Land, who will eventually market the property to someone else if it comes to that. Right now, Ford Manufacturing still controls that property. Now, if you want to get in a proactive lawsuit with Ford, I would not advise that one bit. But I really think by working with them, because it's in their best interest too, if they're not going to utilize that property, to do something else with it. They don't want to keep it on a tax duplicate. So again, I would love to see them put something here Ford related first and foremost, and keep Ford in our city.
And then last, obviously you just mentioned about 88 days in office to this point. Are you planning something like the President of the United States does with a 100-day in office report to the residents or to council as to where you're at?
I will be reporting to the residents. Whenever council wants, pick up the phone, call me. I'd be happy to talk with you. And yes, but again, I've only been here 80-some days, and it's been a whirlwind, and I never realized I had so many friends.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no one else, we'll move on. On the letter I, reports and communications from departments, commissions, and other public officials. We'll start with Mr. Piatek.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No report this evening.
Thank you. Mr. Garner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the past 2 weeks, we've put our Vector truck out and started doing some catch basin maintenance. We're currently working in the Ashland, Harrison, Shelby area. Within a couple of days, we're gonna go across Hummel Road and get into Robert Wangler in there. You know, we've been out, like I said, most days of the past couple of weeks, I think we've cleaned 60 catch basins. Doesn't sound like a lot, but there's probably 5,000 in the city. It'll take some time to do it, I would think years to get through them. But we've started. The street sweeper's also been out. We've swept our mains, secondaries, and we're into the residentials, starting in Route 1 over in the Park Settlement, Elmdale area. We were able to get a load of hot patch out of a Bedford Heights plant and start overlaying some of our winter water breaks. I think I have currently 24 open, or they're closed up, but we're overlaid 5 yesterday. Couldn't do any today, but weather permitting, we'll get another load and do 5 more. Hopefully get to the end of them. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Moving on to Law Director Horvath.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've provided council with the active civil litigation list. Basically, we have 4 cases which are listed on it. And other than to note that these cases, and also to note that one of them has thoroughly been discussed with council, I would have no further report.
Thank you. Moving on to the Rec Director, Mr. Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just like to kind of recap some of the last week of the month of March, which was very busy for us. We had great participation. One of the programs we had done was the Midnight Madness on March 23rd. And then the week of the spring break for the kids, we did what we were calling the Brook Park Team Olympics. We had great participation and went all week long during that, and they won awards and competed and had some food and drinks. And then we had the Easter egg hunt this past weekend. And so there's a lot of thanks to go out to a lot of folks who participated, which we appreciate greatly. Certainly my staff, the recreation commissioners, Miss Brook Park, who was involved, the Neighborhood Watch Group was participating, and very thankful for their participation. All city council members were very grateful for those of you that were there, but all of you to a member who participated in donating in some way. We thank you very much for that. Mayor Gamella, Joe Umanek from Umanek Funeral Homes also was a great sponsor to us. The Brook Park Boosters, once again, for all the great things they do, they participated. And most of all, thanks to all the kids and the families who participated. So we had a really great a busy last week. And just looking ahead, on Thursday, May 3rd, the Best of Brook Park will be taking place over at the Ford UAW Hall this year. And again, as you all know, that is just a great event where we recognize volunteerism, all the good that people do in our community each and every year, and our Citizen of the Year. And that's all that I have.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott. Last but not least, Finance Director Single.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a brief report from the Tax Department. The tax deadline, filing deadline date is April 17th for city income tax returns. As such, the City Tax Department will be open extended hours until 7 p.m. on the following dates: April 10th and April 17th. Again, the Tax Department will be open till 7 p.m. on April 10th and April 17th. The Tax Department will also be open on Saturday, April 7th and Saturday, April 14th from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. And then if any resident has any questions or needs assistance in filing their city tax returns, the window hours are from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. No appointment is necessary. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Single. Council, questions for directors? Seeing none, move on to letter J. Other communications and petitions and verbal approval, introduction of new legislation, We have two items. First one is ordinance number 12-2018, a resolution accepting the recommendations and approving the minutes of the Housing Council on the City of Brook Park's Community Reinvestment Area CRA agreements and declaring an emergency, introduced by Mayor Gamella per Council President Vecchio.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Salvatore.
shouldn't it be under M?
You know what, yes, I don't know why I just did that. Thanks for correcting me. I'm sorry, both of those items, scratch those will be removed. There's nothing under those. Item K, miscellaneous business appointments and confirmations. We have the investigator's report that was brought forward to that.
Make a motion to approve under verbal.
So your motion is for verbal approval?
Support.
Motion for verbal approval properly supported. Discussion on a motion? Seeing none? Mr. Salvatore, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how we're doing it under K. I mean, if you can explain that to me, then I don't mind moving forward, but what, it says under K is miscellaneous business appointments and confirmations.
Correct. Miscellaneous business, comma, appointments, comma, confirmations. So three different items, and this would be miscellaneous, a miscellaneous business item. I don't know what other heading it would be under.
I think it should have been under J, under verbal approval.
Defer to the law director. Madam Law Director, get an opinion from you on that, what your thoughts are.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think your rules are probably broad enough that you could put this item under either J or K. I think it would be council's choice. And certainly it is miscellaneous business that you're seeking verbal approval of. I would suggest as we pass J, it may be appropriate under K, but I think it could fit under either item.
Thank you. Mr. Salvatore, anything?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Move over to Mr.
Well,
Mancini.
if we go back to J, because while I agree with the law director, but other communications, verbal approval, and it was new legislation that was introduced tonight, more or less, and was introduced anyway, so. I mean, I feel that's a place we
I'm sorry?
should be. I just feel that's a place we should be at with it.
As I have to concur with the law director, I think it can go under either one of them. Especially because it's so broad spectrum on this. Mr. Poindexter.
Thank you, Council President. I just was made aware of this 2 minutes before the caucus meeting, and I'm not exactly sure what it's about, so I won't feel comfortable voting for verbal approval tonight. So I'd like to have time to consider what we're voting on, and quite frankly, I don't know if we have the comfortability of what is actually we're discussing. We haven't discussed it. We haven't done anything with it. I'd feel more comfortable waiting until I'm more comfortable with proceeding on this.
Thank you, Mr. Poindexter. Mr. Scott.
Yes, what was read was the investigation by Councilman Orcutt and I. This legislation was, not legislation, this investigator's report was submitted on September 15th of 2017, and it's been in the office since then. It was placed in my committee on October 10th of 2017, and I don't know what more we could have done. I mean, the opportunity was there for everybody to read the reports. I don't know what else to do. It can't sit in there. We got to get this thing out, close this item, put it behind us, and we got to move on. This thing's been sitting in committee, like I said, since October 10th of 2017. It's time to get it out, get it through the system, move through the system, and get it out of the council's hold. I don't know what else to do. Like I said, it's been sitting there forever. So that's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Mr. Salvatore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just for edification of what we're trying to accomplish here, or what you're trying to accomplish, so everybody understands that we're just voting on the conclusion of the report based on your findings as appointed by council to wrap this up.
Correct.
Is that what we're doing?
And yes, and
Okay.
this will be this tied into the investigator's report, yes.
Okay, thank you. I'll state for the record, I still think it should be under J, but I will follow the advice of the law director saying that it could be under K. I don't think it can be, but I feel more comfortable if it was under J, but that's all I'm going to say about that.
Council, if you would feel more comfortable with that, I would ask that a motion be made that we go back to letter K and we move that to that.
Mr. Chairman, don't do that for me. The law director has spoken. That's good enough for me.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, so there's a motion on the floor for verbal approval, properly seconded. No other discussion. Michelle, please call the roll on verbal approval.
Scott?
Yes.
Bergia?
Yes.
Orcutt?
Yes.
Stem?
Yes.
Mancini?
Yes.
Poindexter?
No.
Salvatore?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion approved 6-1. Moving on to letter L, remarks from the audience on any subject matter. At this time, anybody who would like to come to the podium, please come up, state your name and address.
Hello, my name is Joe Marcus, 13911 Bellbrook. I just this evening had a chance to watch the Thursday evening special council meeting, and I wanted to thank council for putting our finance requests from our departments on hold until you have a chance to look at it. I think that our funds need to seriously be looked at and should not be taken lightly. Our city has very serious issues. Our money is not something to be messed around with, and you show courtesy to the residents when you do not just hand out our money to the buildings. I'm not saying that they are using the money recklessly. I'm just saying that with all of our city issues, I think that our money needs to be looked at and spent in a way that 3 to 5 years down the line, we're not, as residents, saying, you know, we just gave this much money and now all of a sudden you're doing this. Why didn't you just not put the money there, hold it back, and actually move forward with something new that you needed back then but didn't want to take the time to just fix it to get us through a couple years of a little bit of a rough time. We as residents are struggling, just like our city. And we make these decisions every day, and it's important. And you need to look a little bit further than this very moment. I know that our city's streets need help. I know that we need police. I know we need fire. I know that we need all of these things. But I think that we need to put our money where it's best used at this time and really look at what the money is being used for and putting that money into that. Is that really going to be worth spending that if 3 to 5 years it's going to just be torn down or be non-existent anyway? I mean, we all do that. And I think that you show responsibility and you're making people accountable for the money that you're giving them. And I think that it's very important to show the residents that you're paying attention and that you're looking and that you're not just handing out $1, because Lord knows if you're going to start handing them out, please come to me first. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Markusic. Seeing no one else, we'll move on to letter M, introduction of ordinances and resolutions under first reading. Here we will have the two that I spoke of before. First one is 12-2018, resolution accepting the recommendations and approving the minutes of the Housing Council on the City of Brook Park's Community Reinvestment Area, parentheses CRA agreements, and declaring an emergency, introduced by Mayor Gamella per Council President Vecchio.
Motion to suspend?
Support.
Motion to suspend, properly supported. Discussion? Seeing none. Michelle, please call the roll on suspension.
Salvatore,
Yes.
Mancini,
Yes.
Poindexter,
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Bergio,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Move to adopt.
Support.
There's a motion to adopt, properly supported.
Me and Carl.
Thank you.
Discussion? Seeing none. Michelle, please call the roll on adoption.
Mancini,
Yes.
Bergio,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Poindexter,
Yes.
Salvatore.
Yes.
Resolution 12-2018 has been adopted. Next item is Resolution 13-2018, a resolution supporting the Cuyahoga County Board of Alcohol, Drug Addiction, and Mental Health Services and the City of Cleveland, and declaring opioid overdose deaths in Cuyahoga County as public emergency, and requesting additional funding from the state and federal governments to address this issue and declaring an emergency, introduced by Mayor Gamella.
Move to suspend.
Support.
Motion to suspend, properly supported. Discussion? Seeing none. Michelle, please call the roll on suspension.
Mancini,
Yes.
Bergio,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Poindexter,
Yes.
Salvatore.
Yes. Motion to adopt?
Support.
Motion to adopt, properly supported. Discussion on adoption. Seeing none. Michelle, please call the roll.
Salvatore,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Bergio,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Mancini,
Yes.
Poindexter.
Yes.
Resolution 13-2018 has been adopted. Moving on to letter N, second reading of ordinances and resolutions, we have none. Letter O, third reading of ordinances and resolutions, we have none there. Letter P, motion to, accept a motion to adjourn.
Motion so made.
Support.
Motion to adjourn, properly supported. Michelle, please call the roll.
Mancini,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Bergio,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Salvatore,
Yes.
Poindexter,
Yes.
Stem.
Yes.
This meeting is adjourned at 8:24. Good night.